Good morning, children.
Good morning,
In the
ma'am.
morning, I forgot that we have another class. So I was thinking not to start with the chapter. But since we have one more class, let's start with the chapter, a new chapter. This chapter, the first part, very easy, very theoretical. You don't need much help of mine. However, the second part will involve some chemical reactions where I'll help you out physically. The first part is very simple, just simple rote learning. It's mineral nutrition. Okay, let's read the first paragraph very quickly. This is something very simple. The basic needs of all living organisms are essentially the same. All of us require macromolecules, means the molecules which are bigger in size, they're called macromolecules. Examples are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and we also need water and minerals. All of us need the same things. So, name three macromolecules. Name three macromolecules. Yes.
Carbohydrates, proteins, and fats.
Yes. See, in the previous chapter, we said how water and food reaches a plant. Now we'll study how minerals basically in detail reach the plant and which minerals are needed by a plant and why are they needed. Let's read this very quickly. Methods to study mineral nutrition requirements of plants. Hydroponics, this paragraph, read quickly. You must have come across this word hydroponics. Just read it quickly. Okay, 1860, it was Julius von Sachs. He was a German botanist. He demonstrated for the first time that plants can be grown, they can become mature if you grow them in a nutrient solution. We don't need soil. We can just grow them in a solution which contains nutrients. This technique of growing plants without soil is known as
Hydroponic.
Yes. So after that, we have developed many more methods and find out that this solution needs minerals and which minerals it needs. Okay. So more of a study on this. After many experiments, the roots of the plants were immersed in a nutrient solution wherein an element was added, removed, or given in various concentrations. How did we do? We took a plant and we kept on changing the nutrients in the solution. Sometimes we added phosphate, sometimes we added chlorine, chlorides, and we kept on changing the concentration or the amount of the nutrients. And then we tried to see what effect is it having on the plant, varied concentrations. We also tried to find out which mineral is suitable for a plant. So after these experiments, we reached the conclusion that there are essential elements, means these elements are essential for a plant. If the plant will not get this, it will start showing some kind of deficiency systems. Hydroponics, very successfully being used today for producing vegetables such as tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuces. But remember that the nutrient solution must be aerated. It should always contain air. Otherwise, the plants will not grow in hydroponics. Without soil, it can work, but aeration has to be there. Okay. What will happen if the solutions are poorly aerated? The plant will not be able to breathe. So it will not be able to grow. So this is a cotton plant. This is your aerating tube. Air is being provided. This is your nutrient solution. We have a funnel. From this funnel, we kept on changing the nutrients. First, we added one nutrient. We kept on changing the concentration. We saw the effect on the growth of the plant. Then we changed the another minerals, so on, so on, so on. So we could reach a conclusion that yes, these are the elements which are essentially needed by a plant. We call these elements as essential elements. What do you call these elements?
Essential elements.
So let us read about essential mineral elements. Just one paragraph very quickly. The first part is all reading and learning. Read quickly, essential mineral elements. See, many of the minerals we know they're present in the soil. They can enter the plant through roots. In the previous chapter, I already told you. What are the two methods by which minerals enter? Active and
passive,
Passive.
yes. More than 60 elements out of the total 105 discovered elements are found in different plants. So this gives you an idea that how many minerals are absorbed by the plants. When a research was done on different plants, about 60 minerals were found in them. Some plant species accumulate selenium, some others gold, while some plants growing near the nuclear test sites take up even the radioactive strontium. What we generally assume is plants take nitrogen, phosphorus, but in this research, we got some amazing results. That some plants, they take up very different elements. For example, some of them absorb and deposit selenium, some of them even deposit gold. And those plants which grow near nuclear test sites, they even start absorbing the radioactive elements like strontium. There are various techniques that are able to detect the minerals even at a very low concentration. Even if a plant contains minerals in very low concentration, we are able to detect that yes, this plant has this elements. So out of total 105 elements, how many elements are found to be present in plants after the research?
60 elements.
60 elements.
Which were the presence of three elements basically surprised or astonished the scientist? Which three elements? Which we never thought will be accumulated in plants. Tell me.
Gold.
Selenium, gold, and strontium.
Yes. See, strontium is a radioactive element. It's so harmful. So nobody could even think that plants must be absorbing and accumulating these. But this has been found that yes, this happens. We talked about essential elements. So what is the criteria for essentiality? If I give you 5 elements and tell you, okay, check out and tell me, are they essential elements? Then how will you check? Number one, the element must be absolutely necessary for supporting the normal growth and reproduction. In the absence of this element, plant will not be able to produce seeds or will not be able to reproduce. That means that that mineral is which kind of an element? It's an essential element. So growth and reproduction. Number two, requirement of the element must be specific. It cannot be replaced. Supposing a plant needs an element A and A is not available. So you say, chalo B de do. But no, B cannot substitute A. So if the deficiency of one element cannot be substituted by another element, we will say that this element is which kind of an element? This is an essential element. And the third, it must be directly involved in the metabolism of the plant. It must be affecting the normal working of the plant directly. So what are the three criteria to conclude that yes, this mineral is essential for a plant? Tell me the first one. Tell me, beta, what is the first criteria to conclude that yes, this is a very essential mineral for a plant?
First, it should be
Necessary for
is
supporting growth
for
and
growth and
reproduction.
reproduction.
Very good. And second?
It cannot, the need of the nutrient cannot be replaced by another element.
Very good. If it is replaced, then obviously it is not essential. The third one?
It should be directly involved in metabolism.
Yes, very good. It should be directly involved in the metabolism of the plant. Now, based upon the above criteria, we saw that although plants absorb 60 elements, but very few elements are considered to be essential elements because they are involved directly in the growth and metabolism. They cannot be substituted and they're involved in the reproduction as well. So out of the 60 elements that we found in the plants, very few of them are considered to be which elements? Essential elements. Okay, beta? Very few of them are considered to be essential elements. Now we also divide the elements needed on the basis of quantity into macro and micronutrients. See, that was on the need, whether it is needed, absolutely needed or not. So essential elements, but on the basis of quantity, again, elements are divided into two categories. What are the two categories?
Macronutrients and micronutrients.
Macronutrients and micronutrients.
Yes. Those nutrients which are generally present in the plant tissues in large amount. Excess, okay? Just this much, no need to learn the amount. If they're present in excess, we call them as macronutrients. Hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, potassium, calcium, magnesium, all of these. Out of all these, CHO, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen are mainly obtained from carbon dioxide and water. So main three things, CHO, that is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, we just get from two things. That is CO2 and water. Others are all absorbed from the soil. So apart from other minerals, see, most of them are absorbed from the soil. However, there are three elements which are not taken from the soil. The plants take it from CO2 and water. Which are the three elements? Name three elements which are not taken by the soil. If the plant does not take these elements from soil, name these elements.
Nitrogen.
Yes, hydrogen. Hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen, children. This is not present in the soil. The plant will not take it from the soil. Tell me three nutrients, three elements which the plant does not take from soil. Quickly.
Carbon, hydrogen, and
Oxygen. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So where is it taking it? Whenever it absorbs carbon dioxide and water for photosynthesis. So it basically breaks down, carbon dioxide breaks down into carbon and oxygen. Similarly, water breaks down into hydrogen and oxygen. So these three elements, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, are taken by the plant from CO2 and water. Those elements which are needed in very small amounts, they are called as micronutrients: iron, manganese, copper, molybdenum, zinc, boron, chlorine, and nickel. Now, 17 essential elements we have got. Apart from this, there are some other elements which help in the growth of the plant: sodium, silicon, cobalt, selenium. Okay, but they're required by higher plants, the bigger plants, the complicated plants. So we have done, on the basis of essentiality, we have essential and non-essential elements. On the basis of the quantity in which minerals are needed, again, we had classified them into two nutrients. What are they?
macronutrients and
Macronutrients and
micronutrients.
micronutrients.
Essential elements can also be grouped into four broad categories on the functions. So this is the third division that we are doing. The first division was done on the basis whether they are essential or not, whether a plant can grow without them or not. Essentiality, essential and non-essential elements. Second, on the basis of quantity, that is macro and micronutrients. Third classification is based on what? Based on function, beta.
Function.
Okay. Yes. Let's read these four categories quickly. So we are grouping the elements on the basis of functions now. First was essentiality, essential and non-essential elements. Second was quantity, that is macro and micronutrients. And the last one is division on the basis of functions. All the essential elements, like biomolecules, are structural elements of the cell. Means they form the structure of the cells. So what is their main function? Structural function. So we call these elements as structural elements because they form the structure of the cell. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen are the examples. Biomolecules. Okay. Second, essential elements that are composed of energy related compounds. Those elements which are involved in energy related reactions. Example, magnesium in chlorophyll and phosphorus in ATP. ATP is involved in energy related chemical reactions. Similarly, magnesium also, you will study later, is involved in some energy related reactions. So magnesium is present in chlorophyll and phosphorus is present in ATP. These are examples of those elements which are involved in energy related compounds. Third is essential elements that activate or inhibit the enzymes. Those elements which make enzymes active or slow down the action of enzymes. For example, magnesium ions This is an activator. For, name the enzyme. It is ribulose biphosphate carboxylase oxygenase. It's a very big name. This is the name of an enzyme. So what makes it activated? Magnesium ions. We also have some enzymes involved in photosynthetic carbon fixation. Zinc, this activates another enzyme, alcohol dehydrogenase, and molybdenum of the enzyme nitrogenase. So it would be better you take up one simple example. I think this one will be the easiest for you, molybdenum. This element activates which enzyme? Nitrogenase. When nitrogen fixation is taking place, nitrogen metabolism is taking place, then this process is enhanced by an enzyme, molybdenum, nitrogenase, and the element which is present in nitrogenase is molybdenum. Last is some elements can change the osmotic potential of the cell. For example, potassium. This plays a very important role in opening and closing of stomata. So beta, basically on the basis of functions, we have put them into 4 categories. Number 1, they're very essential elements because they make the structure of the cell. What were the examples?
Carbon,
Carbon,
hydrogen,
oxygen, and nitrogen.
Very good. There are 2-3 elements which are involved in energy reactions. I mean, those reactions where energy would be produced. Can we have the names of them?
Magnesium in
Magnesium in
chlorophyll and
chlorophyll
phosphorus
and
in
phosphorus
ATP.
in ATP.
Some elements, they either activate, that means they increase the rate of a reaction because they activate the enzymes, or they decrease the rate of a reaction. We have to take one example, any one simple example you can take. I gave you the example of which element which you can learn easily. MO. What is MO? Molybdenum. What is MO, children?
Molybdenum.
Yes. It activates which enzyme?
Nitrogenase.
This enzyme is involved in what function? It basically helps in nitrogen fixation. What is the process?
Nitrogen
Nitrogen
fixation.
metabolism.
Yes, beta. Basically this. So these are the division of elements that we have done. Essentiality. Second was the amount, macro and micro. And the last one is based on the type of functions they are performing. Now, role of macro and micronutrients. What do they do actually? Essential elements perform several functions. They participate in metabolic processes such as permeability of cell membrane. What do you mean by permeability of cell membrane? They make the cell membrane permeable. What is permeable? Beta, they make the cell membrane easily to take in materials inside and outside. This is called permeability. What is it called?
Permeability.
Permeability.
Yes. Next, it maintains the osmotic concentration of the cell sap. How much water is going to be present in the xylem and how many minerals, sap. That also they will control. They will control the electron transport system, ETS, which you will study later in class 11th. Buffering action, buffers, like making something active or reducing their activity. Enzyme activity, and they also act as major constituents of macromolecules. Okay, you know what are macromolecules? Molecules which are small in size or needed in large amount or less amount? Bigger size or small ones?
Bigger size.
Okay.
Which
Now
are
one by
needed
one.
in larger amount.
Very good. So we are going to talk about the various essential nutrients now. Which nutrients we are going to read about? Essential nutrients. The first essential nutrient on your screen is nitrogen. Read about nitrogen. This is an essential nutrient. When I say essential nutrient, you all remember the 4 characteristics which I told you of essential nutrients. Read quickly about nitrogen. See, the first one is nitrogen. This is the essential nutrient element which is required by the plants in the greatest amount. Maximum amount beta. Which nutrient is needed? Which element is needed? Yes, tell me. Nitrogen is needed. What is
Nitrogen.
Yes, maximum amount, it is nitrogen only. And it is mainly absorbed or taken it in the form of NO2. Though some also take the plants, take NO3, NO2 and NH4. Nitrogen dioxide, nitrogen trioxide and ammonium ions. So basically this nitrogen enters the plant in three forms, NO2, NO3 and NH4. Nitrogen is required by all parts of the plant, particularly the meristematic tissue. Those tissue which keep on growing and dividing throughout their life, they're known as meristematic tissues. So nitrogen is mainly needed by all the parts of the plant, but mainly meristematic tissues need this nitrogen to become active. And nitrogen is one of the major constituents of proteins, nucleic acids, vitamins, and hormones. So this shows you how important is nitrogen. After nitrogen, the second essential element is phosphorus. This is absorbed by the plants. Again, it is absorbed by the plants from the soil. It is absorbed from where? From the soil in the form of phosphate ions or biphosphate ions, either in the phosphate ions or biphosphate ions. Phosphorus is very important because it helps in the formation of cell membranes, formation of proteins, formation of nucleic acids. See, beta, when you prepare this at home, prepare it in 3 columns. Make a table. Write the name of the element, obtained in which form, and its functions, any 2 functions. So whenever you're preparing these essential elements, make a small table. First column, write the name of the element. Second, it is absorbed in which form. For example, nitrogen, I told you NO2, NO3, and NH4, and any 2 functions. Similarly, phosphorus, any 2 sources, phosphate, biphosphate, and functions. Third is potassium. This is absorbed in the form of potassium ions, and this is required in more abundant quantities in the meristematic tissues only. Leaves, root tips, meristematic tissue, we need potassium. Potassium is very useful because it maintains the balance of anions and cations in the cells. How much positive and how much negative atoms will be present. Potassium is also involved in protein synthesis, opening and closing of stomata, activating the enzymes, and the maintenance of the turgidity of cells. We don't have to learn so many functions. As I told you, 2 sources and 2 functions, sufficient. So which are the 3 elements we've just discussed? 3 essential elements?
Nitrogen,
Nitrogen,
phosphorus.
phosphorus, and potassium.
So when we prepare a table, we'll simply write the name of the element and we'll write 2 sources and 2 functions. This is how we'll go ahead. Now we move on to the 4th essential element, that is calcium. See, this is it, calcium. Plants absorb calcium from the soil in the form of calcium ions. So your source is calcium ions. Function, it is required by meristematic tissues. When cell division takes place, beta, that time calcium is used in the synthesis of cell wall. New cells are formed, so the new cells need a cell wall. So that cell wall, basically, which element is needed? Calcium is needed. Especially in the middle boundaries, we need a very soft form of calcium, that is calcium pectate. Even during mitosis, when cell division is taking place, the spindle formation takes place, that time also we need calcium. So calcium is basically needed at the time of cell division. Number 1, for the formation of cell wall, and number 2, for the formation of mitotic spindles. Calcium keeps depositing in the old leaves. So it helps in the functioning of the cell membrane. It activates enzymes, plays a very important role in metabolic activities. So many functions of calcium are given to you. You have to learn any 2. And the source is only one, that is calcium ions. Magnesium. This is absorbed by the plants in the form of magnesium ions. This activates the enzymes of respiration, photosynthesis. It is also involved in the formation of DNA and RNA. It is a part of the chlorophyll also, and it maintains the structure of ribosomes also. What I'm trying to tell you again and again is there are so many functions. There is nothing to panic. Just remember the source and 2 functions. Here the source is magnesium ions. Here we had the source of calcium ions, just 2 functions. Sulfur. Plants obtain sulfur in the form of sulfate. Sulfur is present in 2 amino acids, cysteine and methionine. There are 2 very important amino acids which contain sulfur. One is cysteine and the other is methionine. Some vitamins like coenzyme A, thiamine, biotin, phytodoxin, they also contain sulfur. So source is which ions? Sulfate ions. Okay, and these are the functions. Then we move on to iron. Plants obtain iron in the form of ferric ions. This is again very important because it helps in the formation of proteins. It is oxidized from Fe2 to Fe3 and then Fe3 to Fe2. It is reversible oxidation. Fe2 can convert to Fe3 and Fe3 can convert back to Fe2. Functions, again, helping in the enzymes. And very important, iron helps in the formation of chlorophyll. This is very important. So many essential elements are there. You don't have to learn all of them. You can just prepare 5 or 6. Manganese is prepared again in the form of which ions? This is manganese ions. Functions are the same beta. Photosynthesis, respiration, and metabolism of nitrogen. Zinc, obtained in the form of zinc ions. Same functions if you see. Activation of enzyme, especially which enzyme it is involved in? Carboxylase. It is also helping in the auxins. Auxins are plant growth hormones. Copper, source is cupric ions. Involved in what? Metabolism. This also helps in reactions. Like we had this Fe2 to Fe3 and Fe3 to Fe2. Here Cu plus to Cu2 plus and Cu2 plus back to Cu. These are reversible reactions. Then we move on to boron, absorbed in these two forms. This is required to uptake calcium. Calcium can be absorbed by a plant only if boron is present. Remember this. Boron helps in pollen germination, making the cell long, cell differentiation, and carbohydrate translocation. You don't have to go into much details, just two functions. Molybdenum, plants obtain it in the form of molybdate ions. Again, same functions, beta. Enzymes, mainly which enzyme? Nitrogenase and nitroreductase. And both of these enzymes are very important because they help in nitrogen metabolism. Why are they so important? They help in which metabolism? Nitrogen metabolism. And the last essential nutrient that we've done is chlorine. This is absorbed in the form of chlorine anions. Along with sodium and potassium, chlorine also comes in. This helps to maintain the balance of anions and cations in the cell. It is also important in water splitting reactions. When water breaks down into hydrogen and oxygen, this reaction is called as water splitting reaction. So these are all what? These are all essential nutrients. Just read nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Let's discuss a few questions from there. Just read the first 3 elements. We'll just discuss a few questions on them. Yes, Peter. You can leave for the other class. It's absolutely okay. We'll continue on Monday.
Ma'am, can you please share the notes of the previous chapter in the group?
Beta, you
Yes,
want
ma'am,
what?
please.
You want those handmade ones that they also asked you and I forgot, or you want the typed notes that we have?
Ma'am, anything.
Ma'am, hand. Yes, ma'am.
Chalo, I'll see. I'll post both of them today. Just
Yes,
just drop a
ma'am.
personal message to me in the evening, huh? Late
Okay,
afternoon.
ma'am.
I'll send both because the handmade notes are very. I don't know how legible they are, whether you'll be able to read them or not. But I'll post anyways. I'll post both of them.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Okay, ma'am.
Have a
Thank
great
you, ma'am.
Sunday. Let's
Thank
meet
you,
on
ma'am.
Monday. Yes, better.